Isabella Stanton had determined from an early age that the fact of having been born female would not stand in the way of her doing what she desired. She was as capable in her intellectual abilities as either of her two older brothers, and thus she saw no reason why she should not take as active a role in managing her affairs as they did theirs. Her opportunity to do so had come some 2.5 years ago when she had inherited a substantial estate, Netherwick Hall, from her grandfather, the late Earl of Stanton. It had precipitated a difficult decision on her part, either to return with her family to their homestead in Ohio or stay behind in England to take charge of her newly inherited property. In the end, she had decided on the latter, much to her parents' chagrin. Such had been her determination to stand on her own 2 feet, as independently as it was possible, that her dearest papa had not had the heart to say no to her. He had allowed her to stay on in England, though with the knowledge that she would be under the protection of her eldest brother, Daniel, who had inherited not just the title of Viscount Stanton, but the vast estate of Stanton Hall from their late grandfather. At Stanton Hall she would live, and from there she would see to her own estate, which lay some 10 miles distant. And so she had embarked on this novel life, at once a demure young lady of high rank, taking her rightful place in local society, and a lady of independent means, managing, quite successfully, her own large estate. This was heady stuff indeed for a young woman of 22 years. Of course, in these business endeavours, she did have the assistance of the Stanton estate manager, a gentleman by name of Ambrose Cranshaw. He it was that did the accounts and collected the rents, as well as oversaw any repairs to the buildings on her lands. However, he reported to her, and she was the one that took the most important decisions regarding her estate, such as the level at which rents were set for all her tenants, and who should have the tenancy of the main house, Netherwick Hall. Over the last 2.5 years, she had become quite proficient at her new role. She knew all her tenants well and visited her domain often. As for the main house, it had been let out for the past year to a local family of good standing, the Mortons, who were also distant relations of hers. They had moved to Netherwick Hall while major renovations were undertaken at their own estate of Stambourne. Now that these renovations were complete, the Mortons had moved back to their own home, and Netherwick Hall lay empty once more, in need of a new tenant. To this end, she was going there today to show the house to a Mr. Wilson. She did not know much about the man, except that he was a widower from Manchester with 2 young children, and that he had made his fortune in manufacturing. In truth, she had grave reservations about letting out the grandness of Netherwick Hall to a man who had made his money in trade, and was therefore unlikely to be a gentleman by birth. It was not that she had anything against such a person, but she feared he might be uncouth in his manners, and thus unsuitable to take on the role of master of Netherwick Hall, even temporarily so. As the carriage rattled along the road, she voiced these reservations to her companion on this journey, her estate manager, Ambrose Cranshaw. "How much do we know about this Mr. Wilson, Ambrose?" she now asked. "What sort of a man is he? If he is not a gentleman born, is he at least gentlemanly in his manner?" To these questions, Ambrose merely smiled. "I cannot say for certain," he replied. "However, my correspondence with Mr. Wilson these last few weeks has shown him to be a man of education, and the letter I received from his parish vicar vouched for his good character. I have also made inquiries as to his financial situation and have been reassured that Mr. Wilson's income is more than comfortable. The rest we shall have to find out upon meeting him."